Namaskaram. We are dealing with a very small concept called taxation of BPOs in India. So what do you mean by BPOs? Business process outsourcing done by non-residents to India. Please understand, we are not talking about Indian entities. We are talking about foreign entities who are outsourcing their key operations to India. In Mumbai, Bangalore, Kochi, we are having electronic cities, digital cities where we are having BPO, which provide services to many multinational organizations. So many foreign MNCs, they are having their BPOs in India, maybe call center, support center, backend office. And if you consider, so far as the MNC is concerned, if you consider BPO as a permanent establishment, please understand, if you consider BPO as a permanent establishment, then what will happen? The income which is earned by this multinational corporation in India will become taxable in India, because there is a concept of permanent establishment. But if you consider it as a permanent establishment where it is just a back-end process, it's just a call center, they are not doing any business in India, then that would be completely a harassment to this MNCs. And therefore, to give the relaxation, the words that you have to remember, to give the relaxation to the MNCs who are running their BPO in India, and to encourage foreign countries or foreign companies to establish their BPOs in India, CBDT had issued a circular, okay, in 2004, maybe circular number 5 of 2004. According to that circular, certain provisions they have clarified. Majority provisions are saying they should not be liable to pay tax in India, because BPO should not be considered as a permanent establishment unless and until by the name of BPO they are actually running business in India. Obviously, if a foreign entity is running business in India on the name of the BPO and they are securing the orders, securing the contract, they are running the agency in India, they are running a branch in India, obviously, then we will not be having a blindfold on them. If it is established that they are actually running permanent establishment, then their income attributable to that permanent establishment will become taxable in India. So both things has been clarified. First and foremost, we have to give relaxation. Majority BPOs, maybe 99% BPOs will get the relaxation due to this circular, and their income will not be computable or will not be taxable in India. Taxation of business process outsourcing unit of non-resident. The provisions contained in IT-enabled business process outsourcing unit and not contained in Income Tax Act 1961, but there are circular issued by the CBDT. So that's a clarification. According to circular, look at this. A non-resident entity may outsource certain services to the resident entity in India if there is no business connection. It's not there, okay. Between two, the resident entity may not be the permanent establishment of a non-resident entity, and the resident entity would have to assess the income tax separately, because Indian entity is working in India, so they will compute their income as they will receive some money from foreign income, they will have their staff salary, the rental expenses, operational expenses, and they will assess as if they are Indian company, not a branch of a foreign company. In such a case, non-resident entity will not be liable to tax under income tax law. So this is a relaxation. Clause number A is most important clause of circular. We are saying Indian entity will pay tax on Indian income. You don't have to be worried about, as a non-resident, you are not liable to any tax in India. However, it is possible that non-resident entity may have business connection with the resident Indian entity. In such the case, the resident entity could be treated as a permanent establishment. Possibility there, obviously inquiry will happen, of a non-resident entity. A non-resident entity or a foreign company will be liable to tax in India only if the IT-enabled BPO unit in India constitute a permanent establishment. That is clearly written in DTAA. A non-resident or a foreign company is treated as having a permanent establishment in India if the said non-resident or a foreign company carries on any business in India through a branch or a sales office or through an agent who is not an independent agent, that means is the dependent agent, who habitually exercise an authority to conclude the contracts or regularly derives goods or merchandise or habitually secures the order on behalf of the non-resident principal. This is what we have already discussed. This is a business connection concept. In such a case, profit of the non-resident or a foreign company attributable, not total profit. Obviously, their global income will not become taxable in India. Only Indian income will remain taxable in India. attributable to the business activities carried out in India by a permanent establishment becomes taxable in India. So we are not giving blindfold exemption to them. We are giving them exemption subject to the clause that you should not be carrying on any business connection in India. If a foreign enterprise carries on any business in another country through a permanent establishment situated therein, the profit of the enterprise may be taxed in the other country, but only so much of them as attributable to the permanent establishment. Okay. So if through India they are doing business outside India through the permanent establishment outside India, obviously that much income will not be taxable in India. Profit are to be attributed to the permanent establishment as if it were a distinct and a separate enterprise engaged in the same and similar activities under the same and similar condition, dealing wholly independently with the enterprise. So obviously you will follow the all generally accepted accounting principle, and you will attribute the income, you will attribute the expenses, and you will compute the net profit. In determining the profit of the permanent establishment, there shall be allowed as a deduction of expenses which are incurred for the purpose of the permanent establishment, including executive and general administrative expenses so incurred, whether in the state in which permanent establishment is situated or elsewhere. So it can be situated in India or it can be situated outside India. Your HO expenses can be allocated. We have provisions in PGBP chapter for that, allocation of expenditures on Indian branch. The expenses that are deductible would have to be determined in accordance with generally accepted principle and the provisions of Indian Income Tax Act 1961. The profits to attributable to permanent establishment are those which that permanent establishment would have to be made if, instead of dealing with his head office, it had been dealing with an entirely separate enterprise under the condition and the prices prevailing in ordinary market. What do we mean, sir? We are trying to consider, although this is the MNC main office, okay, foreign company, and it is having actually a permanent establishment in India. They are actually a same entity, but we are going to consider them as a distinct entity, and the profit has to be determined by consider this is a separate entity dealing with this head office or main entity or HO, whatever you can say, as if it is a separate person, meaning thereby the transaction should be at fair market value or ALP, arm's length price, in international taxation. You know how to compute arm's length price when it is an associate enterprise through the transfer pricing provision. Hence, determining the profit attributable to IT enabled BPO unit constituting a permanent establishment, it will be necessary to determine the price of the services rendered by the permanent establishment to the HO or by the head office to the permanent establishment on the basis of arm's length price. So ALP provisions will be applicable, meaning thereby whole TP provisions will be applicable to Indian permanent establishment. Thank you.